I'm sitting there like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reginald Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, Wild Man Teddy T, aka Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Chilling, man. So, we're gonna give is Tory Lanez gonna see the light of day? Is Tory Lanez gonna recover from his stab wounds? Is Tory Lane going to be released from the depths of hell based on the influencers who are saying take a second look at his case? What inquiring minds would like to know, Teddy T?
I'm trying to figure out too. I mean, because would they switch up when he get off? Will Megan have to go, or would she have to go? What would they do?
Well, I mean, it depends. It depends. So, first issue is whether or not, something was done wrong below, as far as the appeal is concerned. And so you had different remedies. So you had one remedy, which, if there was such an injustice that took place, that the courts can look objectively and, it's called a de novo review, DENOVO, where they can look and with fresh eyes, in terms of what happened and just say, we don't see any way that this man can be given a fair trial and they can dismiss it. But the likelihood is that if an appeal is successful, then that means a new trial. That means a new trial and potential plea bargain or something like that, since he's been in, and especially since he's been stabbed. But a lot of influencers are taking up the call right now, including the folks, the reality show people who just got out last week, one of those pardons, and they're coming out, advocating for everybody. I guess, oh boy, when somebody's girlfriend and while he was locked up.
He got through it though. He got through it though. Is what he's saying.
He got through it.
It was rough. I saw that interview. I was like, yeah, he got it.
Oh man. Yeah, he's a hey man. Everybody's not getting a fair shake in there.
Especially African American.
Everybody's not getting a fair shake, man. So he probably got somebody that offered him that protection. You know how it go. Offer that protection. Well, I got people that's gonna look out for you. But they got out, and then another gentleman was released after that $1 million Mar-a-Lago dinner. That's just what it is. Let's go to our, in-house Trump supporter and just see, is this the, America that you envision, sir? Is this what we, should be applauding right now? If you got $1 million and you got some people who, accused of some crimes, convicted of crimes, sitting in jail, to be able to holler at your boy, and your boy say, man, you guys weren't treated fairly. Yeah, they weren't treated fairly at all. So, let's look. We got the January 6th guys. They all get pardons. The pro law enforcement party. Everybody get pardoned. You talking about the sheriff who took $75,000 bribe. Hey, you know what? He was persecuted. He wasn't prosecuted. He was persecuted. He's overly charged. Man, you come home. Like, you get a part. You get a part. You get a part. You get a part. So I'm wondering what did he waiting on? He done already said.
But you saw what 50 Cent did, right?
50's a clown, man. He trolling this man so hard,
50
man.
Put up the old video of him talking bad about
Trump. Oh man, 50 man.
Just in case Trump was thinking about
that one right. Hey, that right there, bruh. That right there deserves a drive-by, right? That right. That would we be mad if somebody just went to Louisiana and just shot up the place, or went to the old Mike Tyson mansion in New Jersey and just that's it, right?
That's terrible.
That deserves a drive by, right? You get a pass on that, right?
That's bad, boy.
You get a pass, right? That's a drive by
And the
there,
midst of him doing all of like the, and then
man.
the Larry Hoover, that's federal time, but he still
Yeah,
got
we
his
still
state.
got 200,
You know,
200
but at least
waiting.
well, people can go see him now, right? Now that he's
I
probably
mean,
gonna move to
Illinois
Chicago.
is Illinois,
Right.
So, but yeah, you're gonna have to be housed,
Mm-hmm.
in Illinois, and
Mm-hmm. And then
they got work to do.
and the NBA young boy, he was about to get out anyway. So
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I'm telling you, man, Trump is Ric Flair esque. He's Ric Flair esque. He's kind of the same charisma. What's bad is not bad anymore. It's hey, you know what?
Well, I think this is the same America it's always been. Trump just not covert with it.
mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
think it's always been the
So
same.
it's just giving it to you, but giving it to you for everybody to
Right to
see.
your face.
Because it's stuff that, yeah, like you said, it's been going on all the time, but it was hidden. It was more discreet. Trump does not know the meaning of discretion. Like his people can't even tell him stuff probably because he gonna go blast it. He don't care. Like I don't know, man. I don't know, but this is what they asked for. And your boy Elon, man, he just going nuts, bro. He just going nuts. So he getting it on all sides, bro. He getting it from SpaceX. He getting it from Tesla. He getting it from the citizens, like this unelected guy. Now they saying he a dope head. Now they saying he a dope head. And now they showing all the videos, man, where he just looked like he just out of it. Like he just zoning. So
He thought he was untouchable.
I mean he the richest man in the world.
Might not be that way for too long.
Hey, that's why he's like, hey, I got to, I gotta go take care of a few things. It was okay. Thank you for your service, but it was so many things that just did not happen the way they were supposed to happen. Like the drug tests for federal contractors, he was supposedly given a heads up, before the test and all that. Man, say ketamine and ecstasy, mushrooms. Like he just rocking. Plus he got Xanax, So you need to play that um what was that song? Zany boy, that lemonade. That lemonade, bro. That seemed to be your boy Musk, man, the hated guy. And with the big beautiful bill, your boy is like kill the bill, call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill.
What you think about the bill?
Well, uh, I have not read the bill, so let me start off by saying I have not read the bill. But a couple of the components that I heard. Let's take Marjorie Taylor Greene for instance, what she said yesterday. So apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene says between pages like 279 and like 299 of the big beautiful bill that she didn't get a chance to read that portion. And in that portion, it says that there's no federal regulation of AI for 10 years. And she's like, I'm not voting for that. So, Senate, y'all need to handle that because if it comes back the same way that it left, I'm not voting for that because she's like, man, in 10 years, the way AI is going, bruh, it could be a whole takeover, you know. And bruh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with Margie Taylor Greene. And I think that's the bigger issue. The bigger issue is, Margie Taylor Greene, she's such a flashpoint, for whatever. But when she says something, a broke clock is right twice a day, right? Twice a day, a broke clock is right, right? So the clock gets broke at 11:59. It's gonna be 11:59 in the morning. It's gonna be 11:59 p.m. So it's gonna be right twice a day, right? So Margie Taylor Greene, yeah, she done said a lot of Brokeback Mountain crazy stuff in her time because clout wins. It gets you money, gets you clout, gets you prestige, it gets you all the stuff that she's looking for being, from a small district in Georgia. People talking about her. They're not talking about the other people. So why can't people come out and say, I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene for once on one thing?
I agree with it, but it's so I don't know. It's so minuscule to me.
Okay.
I wouldn't deter. That wouldn't be a deterrent factor.
So what about the $4 trillion added to the deficit? Which that's Rand Paul's big thing about it. Rand Paul from Kentucky. And your boy Ric Flair, can we just call him Rick, or y'all want to call him Taco? Because he done got a new name. Folks trying on new names. They're trying him Taco. Trump always chicken out. Taco. He don't like that. He don't like them calling him Taco. So Whoopi on The View is calling him Taco. And other people call him Taco.
So what's the precedent? So what's the previous administration? What did they put on the deficit?
They put a few trillion. They added a few trillion to the deficit, but they're saying that COVID. Everybody blaming everything on COVID. Everybody blaming it on COVID. So the Republicans like Rand Paul and others are saying, they're talking about raising the debt ceiling 5 trillion. So they already saying y'all already anticipate more deficit spending even beyond what this bill is, because this bill really adds like 2.5 trillion, but they got to find a way to make the tax cuts permanent, which is, I'm not going to be mad about tax cuts because I employ people, I pay people. I'm not going to be mad about the tax cut, but I understand. And another thing, I'm not mad if you make able-bodied people work. Make a requirement to work, or to at least you got somebody you got to report to that you seeking work.
I see a win for everybody. I even saw the. Well, I didn't read the bill, of course, but I've heard he included a provision of no tax on overtime.
No tax on tips.
And to me, during the campaign trail, I just thought that was just a
gimmick.
Yeah, a gimmick. But he bracking out what he said.
Hey, like I said, bro.
How could any middle class person not want to go with that?
Mm-hmm.
The only people that's gonna lose out is people that's on welfare.
I mean, really, with everything that they're putting together is for less desirable people, the people who are like not really floating the boat.
Bruh, it seems like, just like there's you can pay $5 million to, come over, skip all kind of lines. So you gotta pay $5 million. Come over. So he basically said, we want as many wealthy people as we can in this country. And for those of you, we want it to be rich people and poor people. It makes life so much easier that way. It, it makes life so much easier that way. It's like you got the ones living above ground and the ones living underground. The ones that's running around that's dirty, looking like road warriors.
It becomes volunteer slavery at that point, because now, well, I'm gonna say volunteer slavery. I'm gonna say what was they doing first?
Indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude. That's what it's gonna come.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to get out of that, to rise in the ranks, especially when you see the attacks on the colleges and the universities. It is the dumbing down of America, but it's not like there's a plan behind it. Like he really went and got some think tank people from the Brookings Institute, from the Federalist Society, like some people who really have thought about, you know, this whole situation. And what they look at, I say a flashpoint. They look at integration. They look at integration as the um, as the beginning of the end for this nation. Integration. You know, they figure like, you know, we gotta let anybody in the schools. We gotta accommodate anybody for whatever it is that they got going on, right? You know, you gotta give people extra time to take tests. You gotta give people extra time for this. You gotta give them extra time. Everybody's coming in. Now everybody's autistic. You know, I I never even heard the word autistic in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, bro. Like
That's the crack
I
babies.
didn't even I never even heard the word before. Now that's it. Oh, no, my child's autistic. Well, what you mean? He buddy over there oh man, he autistic. Huh? But he on the team. But he on the team. What you mean? You know, everybody's is, you know, the mediocrity, I think, is what the Democrats left. The legacy, I think, of the Democrats is mediocrity. And one of the things that Trump was saying early on was that these cities, when he was trying to appeal to black people the first time, he's like, what the hell do you have to lose? The hell do you have to lose? Because you got Democratic leaders in all the cities, And we get the worst. We get the worst. We live in the worst spots. We have the worst schools. You know, the property values are the lowest. You know, all these outcomes. However, in doing that, what does that mean? Right? That means you are starving. You know, you are literally starving the people. You're encouraging them to leave. So man, I got $1,000 for you to just go leave, go somewhere, leave this place. So I mean, we'll see, bro.
I'm all for it. I love it.
There we go.
I love it.
As we expect you would. As we expect you would, man. As they rename, you know, the Harriet Tubman battleship, as they, you know, rename, you
Now I
know,
do recognize there is a lot of BS that goes along with it, but sometimes your enemy can have policies that favor your community.
right. Well, I mean, in the sense, you know, for you as far as self help, when you look at a self help course of action saying that you cannot rely on the government, you cannot rely on these people to save you. Like, we have to save ourselves. So, from that perspective, you know, I get it. Like, you're going to have to, you know, eat it. You're going to have to eat it for a while before you decide to say, hey, you know, we were slipping. Because I think we were lulled to sleep. I think we was lulled to sleep um, in the 80s, man. Like there was, you know, the, tell me the protests that you really remember after 1980. I tell you what I remember. The first protest that I remember was Rodney King. You know, I would say the Rodney King situation, and that was like 92, as far as that's concerned. But, you know, in the 80s, you know, where was the riot from Gary, Indiana, when everybody, you know, white flight, they all left, place where the Jacksons was born. Like, if you think as famous as Michael Jackson was, being from Gary, Indiana, like, he wouldn't have bought the town. But nobody was on that. I guess he wasn't on that, you know, to come in. Because I went to Gary, Indiana. They had a convention, the National Baptist Convention, trying to help save Gary by bringing the convention there. The problem was there was no place to sleep in the inn. They had no hotels. No hotels in the city. You had to stay in a place called Michigan City or in Chicago. No hotels. It was the first ghost town I've been in where they downtown is boarded up. Like I had never seen nothing like that, man. So I would just say that we was lulled to sleep with the implementation, because the implementation of the Brown v. Board of Education, even though that happened in 1954, the implementation had to go back to the Supreme Court, and that's where the Supreme Court came back with the all deliberate speed, which is basically like, a lot of the southern places were slow rolling it. So when they came back with the all deliberate speed, and folks was deciding like how we gonna do it. And folks did it differently in the South. You have in Mississippi, for instance, the way they did it, you know, um, a lot of folks ended up going to parochial schools or private schools, so they wouldn't have to, integrate. And then for the ones who did integrate, Mississippi in particular, Morgan Freeman, who's from Mississippi, um, produced a documentary on how they had two different proms, the black prom, the white prom, and stuff like that. And the way, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the way integration was implemented was all wrong. Because to me, it shouldn't have been about forcing people to go mix with each other. It should have been, where the schools are located, the people with, in proximity to that school should be able to go. That's, to me, that's what integration should have been about. If I got a school across the street from my house and I have, otherwise eligible children, who can go to that school, when I'm driving her to her school across town and she's looking out the window like, them kids look my age. Why am I not going to school right here? Or the neighbor who I play with is going to the school right here. Daddy, why I'm not going to this school? To me, that's what integration should have been about. Shouldn't have been about this forced busing, taking the best and the brightest from our communities, black neighborhoods, and busing them out. Just like you have Everybody Hates Chris, was depicted with you from Illinois, busing you out there versus, staying in there and having academic excellence, in that, Illinois place where where you were from. So they go.
I think our leaders didn't have the foresight on how to implement it.
I mean, they were scared. Integration, they wanted to integrate it because they was losing. They was losing out bad with everything from food to sports to everything. It was like once again, we had took over and they was second and they could never allow us to see that. So that's why they rushed it into everything like that.
No, I think our leaders fought for our for us to have a chance to go into the white establishment, white neighborhood, instead of just fighting for
Uplifting our own neighborhood and our own situation.
exactly.
So
They
that's
was
the
paid to do
difference.
that.
But
That's
that's the
like
difference.
Dr. King say. I think I well, he said I led my people into a burning building.
Right.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And that goes to really, um, the conflict that you had between Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. That was what it was. You had Booker T. Washington, who was basically, and in a famous speech at the Atlanta Exposition, and I think it was in 1896. The whole cast your buckets down where you are, and basically telling and he was an advisor to the president, like one of the first, black. Well, Frederick Douglass was like, you know, I would say the premier advisor, but Booker T. Washington probably second only to Frederick Douglass as far as going to the White House, and his thing was, the industrial education. He was like, let us focus because of slavery. Let us focus on on building ourselves up, and taking these menial positions, these menial jobs, these, things to build ourselves up. And then once we build ourselves up, we'll potentially deal with y'all later. Versus W.E.B. Du Bois, who was like a classic education in the arts, liberal arts in particular, where you know, learn about the humanities and go in and do all this, stuff. And folks is like, man, that's some pie in the sky stuff. Like we need to be teaching folks to farm. That's how you get, those agricultural and mechanical schools. That's where they stem from. Booker T, who came from Hampton, who attended Hampton University, came from Hampton, and then founded Tuskegee. Go ahead.
We built all of these things. We did all the farming. We had all the skills from the beginning. What happened to everything that we had when we built and created everything for them and maintained it for them? What happened to those skills? Why all of a sudden we don't have skills to do anything? And like, wasn't those two with the Atlantic Compromise? When it was about education, they traded for education instead of being, I forgot what it was with the Atlantic Compromise. They went for the education instead of being treated misfairly or something like that. The Atlantic Compromise on that same time, those two right there. But that's what I don't understand. We did all of these things ourselves. We did it. So why we need to have now training with all these things that we did? They didn't do it. We did it.
Yeah, well, these that's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Where you saying like, why are you teaching farming if they were the farmers, if we were the farmers? Why we teaching farming? And I don't know. I haven't delved into it outside of looking at it from a macro perspective, from a 40,000 feet. I haven't um, dug into it. I just looked at it in terms of, we're going to mass produce the workforce, the labor force, to come out and do whatever y'all want. But I guess from a historic perspective, you talk about the artisans, and you talk about the artists, and you talk about folks who was being leased out and rented out, to go in there because they had, always had unique skills. Even in Roots, when you look at Roots, you look at Chicken George. Chicken George was free, but Chicken George was allowed, which that still baffles me. 12 years a slave still baffles me. It's like, why would you be hanging around, enslaved people when you free, when it's not like you had copy machines. Like you got your paper, your freedom papers in your boot. And somebody come in there, you like, here go my freedom papers right here. They take your freedom papers, just burn them right in your face. And just burn them in your face. Like, I guess they would have to go to the courthouse because there were folks who actually bought cases and won cases. Which the history is not the way it was told to us. Is I don't think is accurate because it's just a lot of because you really start thinking about it. It's like, nah, man, you had all these things going on, and at one time the populations of, I want to say, Mississippi, Mississippi, and I think South Carolina, there were more blacks than whites. And I'm like, how did that flip? When did that flip?
It never did. That's the education. Everything is based off of education. They educated us so we wouldn't really know facts. Because if you think about all of the free people of the North, it's like they were already established. Like my family, they had farms, they were hunter gatherers, they fur traders. They was already established as free people. So what happened to all of the free people who were already established, making money, doing things? Why all of a sudden now slavery's over? All the black people are poor, hungry, less fortunate. It's not true. You know what I'm saying? There was people who was thriving. There's people who were like, and where I'm from in Lakewood, well, not where my family's from, Saline County. They built the schools. They built the churches, they built the hospitals, all the names of the streets. And this is from 1850 going into the Civil War, you know? So there and all the other black communities. Look at when they moved all the Seminoles to Oklahoma, and then this is when Tulsa, Oklahoma was created. You know what I'm saying? You had other areas all over the country that black people, even in Mississippi. This one guy, he was a barber, and white people used to come, and he ended up becoming wealthy as a barber with a barber shop.
Yeah, he opened the first bank, I think.
Yeah,
I think he opened the first bank. So good discussion, man. So Malia has dropped Obama. So she's making movies now. She was getting some of the best. She was getting some of the best internships, bro. I remember I think she interned at like Disney. Then she interned like at some big, studio and whatnot. And I know she's already made. Right here it says Malia, now 26, used her middle name Ann for the credits of her short film The Heart, which premiered at the 2024 Sundance Film Festival. So if she had a cryo coin or something like that, you want to invest in you some Malia Obama stock. If they had that available, you want to invest. You want to invest in her because she's going places. She's going places. So that's what it is, man. Hey, this is a crazy story right here, man. Yeah, you been following this, Teddy?
yeah.
So you go ahead, man. You go ahead and introduce the story, bro. They talking about having to get the demons out the boy body.
She took him in there. She took him right there. Here he is, right there. Yeah, I had to get him out of. That's this mental health. I thought it was. I asked. I said, "Is it Haitian?" At first, I could see a Haitian doing something like that, but I don't know. It's like nowadays, cause they're so Christianized. You know what I'm saying? So that I've seen a lot of Haitian mothers. The devil, that they really on that. So, but yeah, this is definitely this is weird.
Oh man, bro. This body cam is off the chain, bro. She is aware. She's aware of what's going on, what's happening. They said, "Hey, we haven't seen your son, and oh man, he's adorable kid. We hadn't seen your kid at school. They worried about him, and said, truancy." And she's like, "Well, what's that?" It was like, "Oh, well, the parents can get in trouble for kids missing school without." The excuse or whatnot. And she ended up walking him right to the crib,
Right,
Teddy.
he's right here.
Right in the crib, man. So only thing you can say is that under 12, the way I believe, you know, and something tragic happens to you under 12, you automatically become an angel. And those are your angels. When children under 12, are taken away, they become angels. Automatic, ascent into heaven. But still, for the people that's left behind. And there was a student um, at the police academy. I don't know if you guys familiar with the police academy high school. It's not called the police academy. It's called something else, but it's right across the street from the children's. It's right across the street from the children's courthouse. And folks who go there, it's a high school, want to either be in law enforcement or the law or anything, stuff like that. Well, they got a graduate, bruh. And this graduate went to visit relatives in Georgia when he was a young boy. And one of the relatives, man, suffered a mental episode and ended up killing his 6-year old um, little sister. And he got stabbed and put in the trunk. And then the relative went back into the house and like burnt the house down. And this young man survived and is going to graduated this year from that school, and he's going to be attending Morehouse College in the fall. But it's mental health is real, bro. Is very real, and and it's something that many of us have had to deal with. Just on the just part of the day. You look at me. Like the movie Soul Food. How they had the her brother, the uncle that just be in the room, all the time, and they just come let the food and like treat them like a dog. Just get the food, throw the plate out, come get it or whatever, and don't come out. I've dealt with that in extended family as far as with people who you kind of keep them away from
They're autistic.
society. But that's what I'm saying. That what you call it now. That's what we call it now, bro. That wasn't the word. We called it with a
They
word.
said they was a little slow.
We call right. We
They
we
was a little
called it
slow.
slow,
They was a little slow.
or we said retarded, or we
Mental.
said something. Even though they didn't look like had a Mongolian
Right.
look or whatever, but it would just be like he's slow. Like just chill.
You know what I found is that people, if you really listen to a lot of people when they talk, they say, I feel and I think and I thought. And I tell people those if you're thinking anything of any rationale, those three things have nothing to do with reality. What you think, what you feel, and what you thought. And this is the element of what is mental health, because you got, let's just say, an artist. I got artists, that I talk, man, I felt like I was the best one up there. And I thought, I'm like, bro, all these things is in your mind, and that's called mental health. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're basing your reality of what you're thinking, that's your problem. And then because they're not accepting what's going on in reality. Like anybody with a girl, oh, I thought you loved me. Oh, I felt like you was doing, all these things is emotions, and you cannot defer anything off of reality, off of what you feel, think, and all of that. And this is mental health. And I really find that
Well,
for a lot of people.
that's a great segue. Uh, as far as your emotions, because just looking at this Diddy trial and this testimony, involving Cassie, right? The Punisher, one of the male escorts, is he's running around giving interviews, and so he was talking after his testimony in court. He apologized for his part in the situation. But the way he explained it, bruh, imagine being Diddy, man, a guy who got the world in his, oyster, man. Money is not an issue. You got this beautiful lady that loves you, but probably at the end of the day, he's feeling like he can't satisfy her, and so he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get these people and try to make it like like a production, like a whole thing or whatever. And you can be sitting there and doing that and thinking you're gonna do it objectively until you hear that first when you hear that, like that wasn't scripted. Like hold on.
What that was.
Like that wasn't, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't scripted. It wasn't scripted. It was like, you know what I mean? Like you just heard something you ain't never heard before. You done heard something you never heard before.
He's been going through this before. I mean, he went through that with his other wife, with Kim. Like Cassie, I remember when Sean Prez, my man.
But that's why he got her younger. Look at the age. She was 19.
I mean, he took her.
He was 19. I don't want to use the word groom because I don't think the prosecution is proving their case and trying to be like the grooming thing or whatever. But, he was 36, she was 19. That when you get somebody on that particular age, they are looking up to you. They're looking up to you for the moves or whatever, and they looking for your guidance. But he took it to a place because probably the demons that he had, because it was probably something in him where he felt like, this one of the baddest chicks. Remember, this is all post J Lo.
Oh, yeah.
This is
I
all
remember.
post J Lo. It's like because when he was with J Lo, he was like he probably felt like, yo, I'm the guy. Like people looking at me different as I'm coming with this superstar. But at the end of the day, like when it got hot, she cleared it on him. So then he was like, the way he met Kim, supposedly like at Uptown, when she was like receptionist for Andre Harrell and basically coming in and just is like, I gotta have that. And with Cassie, supposedly the producer Ryan, what's the guy name? Ryan Leslie, right? The producer Ryan Leslie, was like, "This is my girl," and your buddy just took her from him.
No, I remember Sean Press. Sean Press used to work for Bad Boy. Like we always, Sean Press and my man Henrock. They did always events with us with Core. And Sean, I said, man, what's up with Cassie? Cassie go. He's like, man, that's my artist, man. He's like, she don't even want to be an artist. He's forcing her to even make. That's why
She's
she
like a
never made.
model or
That's why she
something.
never even made another record.
But the boy, his old bodyguard is basically saying she got like a 10 album deal, and he was just shelving her stuff and whatnot. But like I would love for Young Miami to go up in there because Young Miami probably could get him off if she came in there and just because I'm thinking about remember the Carisha Please and when she did the interview with him and she was like asked him are you good in bed and then he was like tell me well, I know but they want to know they want to hear from you tell me you tell them and I'm thinking like that was either like he done started grooming her into the freak offs or she in the freak offs or whatever, which Cassie, she saw that, bruh. She saw that. So she probably like, oh, okay. All right.
But she was
All
already
right.
pregnant with and married. She was pregnant and married because she wanted to get like this. Like I think Jane he said something real dope the other day, which really made me think. It's like she was involved with everything, so she got what's it when you get the same thing that old boy got from with Young Thug.
Rico?
No, the dude who was telling everything.
Immunity.
Immunity. He's saying she got immunity because she was involved with every bit of these crimes. And now she's there testifying, saying that she was involved, and she could
Yeah,
say
but
that
she
because
didn't know that they was doing crimes at the time, bruh. Like, bruh, that's just like Teddy, just based on what you said on this show. Just what you said on this show, bruh. Talking about the Luke days, whether it be on the road or whether it be, at the studio recording the shows and the folks that's coming through, et cetera, et cetera. This is based on what you said. Somebody come bust in this door right now and say, Theodore Taylor, you're under arrest for violation of the racketeering, whatever, the RICO. And you like, for what? It was like, we have these Ask Mathis tapes, of you saying all this stuff, and you looking like, man, what are you talking about? I made everybody sign NDAs. I made everybody blah blah blah, and I'm the one making sure everybody's having a good time. But you like, well, is there any drugs involved? We didn't force anybody to take anything, but there may have been some things there to take them to levels that they wanted to go to, which is what the defense was cross-examining um, Cassie's friend yesterday about who used to work for Diddy and basically saying that, well, she had her own drug issue independent of what she was doing with Diddy. So how you gonna blame all this stuff on him when she's, it's just like in college. Let's just say college. Let's just say college, right? And anybody ever smoked with girls in college? Oh, I don't smoke. Okay. They hang around you and eventually They take a puff here, they take a puff there, whatever. But then at a certain point in time, they, hey, you got that right. You coming with that right. You know, that's why that song came out. I got 5 on it. Like, hold on now. You you're no longer a guest. You're no longer a guest. You're now a participant. You're gonna have to bring something sometimes now. So I'm saying, like, they can't blame this man for everything that happened in this lady's life. They shouldn't do that. And they shouldn't discount what the lady was saying. They have text messages, etc., from all the people involved thanking this man after they are no longer in his grasp. You know, no longer like in his thing, asking either to work for a letter. The same stuff for in the Bill Cosby trial. In the Bill Cosby trial, you know, some of the folks that, you know, was like, hey, he stayed, he was considered my mentor. Every job that they got, this one lady, one of the accusers, every job she got, she consulted with Cosby or asked him to make a call or whatever. So are they saying like, well, if I give up this ass, then you know you're gonna have to be there? Like, Teddy, I hate to be picking on you today, but I know you done been in a lot of situations where you done talked the lady panties off, right? It's true or false, right? And when you talking panties off, right? When you talking panties off, you know, there are little white lies or there are little situations that that you know borderline as far as you know what you're gonna do, where we're gonna go, what's gonna happen. I was watching a thing last week, and a lady was saying how a dude was saying that he was gonna buy her a what's the trucks from England, the Range Rover. Gonna buy her the Range Rover. Took her to the place. So they closed. So let's go on to the hotel, do our thing, and then we go and we go in the morning.
That's what they call it. But she should have been a little bit smarter. She should have been a little bit. She must not listen to the city girls.
Right, we gonna go get that. We gonna go and get that in the morning. But let's just go do what we gotta do. We go get up, get a good breakfast, and then we'll be there first on the floor. You know, to go ahead and get that, right? And someone might do it, and then the guy from that Leonardo DiCaprio played the character with Tom Hanks, where he was the guy writing all the checks and all that. Catch Me If You Can. So the real guy who was based on who the federal government hired after the fact, because he's like the preeminent expert on like false checks and fraud and all the other stuff. It's talking about how he finessed this model one time at a spot, and was basically you know, he was like, you're beautiful, like, you know, I'll give you a few $100, you know. And she was just like, oh no, that's definitely not enough on the ball card. And he was like, well, what about 500? She's like, well, you're warm. He's like, okay, let's go. He said they went to the place, to the hotel and whatnot, and was saying like all he had was uh checks and like a money order or something like that, and went down, and it was just like he couldn't do something. So she was like, oh, he was like, all I have are these money orders for like $4,000, like $4,000 money order or whatever. So the lady ended up saying, okay, well, give me the check for the money order for like the 4 grand, and then I give you the difference. Or like what you was gonna pay. I give you so she ended up paying him, and then had a false check or whatever. So he was just talking about how he just, you know what I mean, he just just finessed it. Now this brother right here is still on the loose
Mm-hmm.
from New Orleans,
Yeah.
but he made it on CNN. He made it on CNN where they looking into his case because the guy's like he got all the if you gonna break out, if you gonna break out, and now we talking to our folks that's watching us on video mix. If you gonna break out, make sure you at least have some receipts and saying, look, nobody was listening to me. Nobody's listening to me. So now he got the world that's investigating, these sexual uh, battery allegations. Saying he got a non-prosecution form. He got all this other stuff. He got alibis. He got the whole nine. We're gonna see how that play out. Y'all want to check it out? Let's see what old Antoine Massey got to say.
My name is Antoine Massey. I'm one of the ones that was let out of Orleans Parish Jail.
He said, "Let out."
When they said I escaped, right? I learned that they locked the woman up for saying that she was supposed to be helping me in any nature. Her name is Diamond White, right? Now, Diamond White is the victim to my case in St. Tammany. What they say, the kidnapping, the second degree kidnapping, the domestic abuse battery. Now, this woman, this is a grown woman, not a child. This woman I was dating, right? Now, on the news right now, they said that they locked this woman up for trying to help me, right? Or whatever they nature they locked her up for. Now, check this out. This is a legal drop form from this woman in Orleans Parish. See the charge, domestic abuse, battery, and strangulation. This is in Orleans Parish, right? This is what this woman went did, Diamond White, who they just locked up for saying she was trying to help me, right? I'm on a charge for the same woman in St. Tammany and Orleans parishes. All my charges come from this one grown woman right here. All right, this is a legal affidavit from this woman. A legal affidavit, and I kept it. Reason why I left the jail, because these people was trying to give me a life sentence in both parishes for something that the woman said that I did not do. And then plus, look how dirty it is. They went lock this woman up. Her name is Diamond White. Look on the news. They went lock this woman up, saying that she was trying to help me. Wherever I this woman, why would she be trying to help me? Make that make sense. World, I'm showing y'all, the whole world, how corrupted the state of Louisiana is. I'm an innocent man. Yes, in my past, I made mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say mistakes. I was just young. My name is
Man,
That's everywhere though.
hey, that's
Let's get them in there. Let's get them in there.
oh man, bro. When you privatize prisons and jails, like, what do you think is gonna happen, bro? Like, you know what I mean? It was the same thing after slavery, when it was like, okay, the former plantation owners is like, okay, you done took the whole labor force. I got these orders. England, they want all my cotton. They want all they want all my textile. They want it all. Like, what we doing? They was like, okay, that's how you come up with the prison industrial complex, by making it illegal for two or more to get together. They call it loitering, and you get years for loitering, bruh, and then going to work on the same place they used to work. It's like, okay, we got you. Hold on, just chill. We got you. We got you. We gonna have these same folks back. We got these give us a little bit of time. We got to get these troops out of here first. So when you talk about the compromise around that time, I always look at the Tilden v. Hayes as the when they made the compromise to end the Reconstruction, and to give Rutherford B. Hayes the presidency. He was a Republican out of Ohio, versus Tillman, who they tied. And the folks was like, man, y'all getting them troops up out of there. We give y'all that. Like, we'll give you the White House. And they was like, okay, we'll take it. So that let you know, like, people ain't never have our interests all the way. Folks love Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln ain't never have our interests. Like, he wanted us to leave. And he's quoted as saying, if I could save the Union without freeing a single slave, I would. So it had nothing to do with love for us or anything like that, you know. But speaking of love, can we get over here on Cardi B, bruh? And Stephon Diggs, man. I don't know why I like this couple, bruh. And I like Offset too. I like Offset, but I like Cardi B, man. I like Cardi B since she was on Love and Hip Hop New York, you know, because even with her line on her first song, Bodak Yellow, you know, talking about got a bag, fix my teeth. You know, I listen, I hear what y'all say about me. I hear what y'all say, but I'm gonna walk strongly in my purpose. And you know what? When I can improve, boom, I'm gonna do it. Now what y'all got to say? You can't say nothing about her work ethic. You can say like she's not that ain't really my type or that artist or I don't like, you know, because I don't like that green tattoo she had. I like that's a turn off for me, right? And I don't like the injections in the butt. That's a that's a turn off for me. You know what I'm saying? But I do like her personality and I like her she seems to be very honest. She seems to be very real. She seems to be very real, and she deserves to be happy, man. And you know, Stephon Diggs, you know, is taking her out. You know, he got her on the floor. He got on the wood at the New York Knicks game. You know what I'm saying, bro? It don't matter if he bought the ticket or she bought the ticket. If you on the wood with somebody at the playoff game, you know what I mean. He treating her with respect. Now you saw him also on the boat where the NFL is looking at him, where he like got pink. Come on, you know the drugs, Teddy. What was that pink thing that one of the girls on the boat was saying? Like he made the girl say, "Call me daddy" or something like that, and then he's sitting there like the real dope guy, like Willie Dynamite, collectivizing with all the stuff. Talking about, you know, what you got to call me for. Say about daddy. Call me daddy. So I don't know if she done cursed him because, you know, the NFL, you know, the NFL is coming out one of their best seasons. You know, they just feel like they're recovering from the Kaepernick stuff, especially when Trump was like, man, we don't even watch the game no more. Nobody's even on it. They recovered from that, had a really good season. So, you know, they don't like those stories. They do not like these stories, man. So I don't know how much longer your boy got. I really don't. I really don't.
We got the finals coming up.
Tonight.
Yeah, man. They talking about so they talking about the Thunder, man. The Thunder is favored by 10 points. Saying they the number one defensive team in the league, and the Pacers are the number one offensive team in the league. So I'm thinking no offense, you know, if you get the pace. However, OKC is younger. OKC is younger than you know, their roster is younger and they play more. So
Man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.